Hey everyone, here I am coming at you live like a true ADHDer. I think I had too many things open on my phone, so my internet was freezing a little bit. But let's get some people in the room. Hey Steph. Steph Girl is one of our amazing Shift Collab therapists. Just a girl in her bag. Love that name. Hey Allie.
Hi.
Okay,
Okay,
just
just
figured it
figured it
out.
out. Not
Not
here.
here.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay, let's see.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you. Can you hear me
Yes,
okay, Asha?
I do now. Yes.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, thank you
Perfect.
so much. And thank you everyone who, those of you who stuck it out for my few tech challenges. You know what? I always say a woman can be great at everything, but or great at anything, but we can't be great at everything all the time. And, this is, as I'm showing up today, learning how to do an Instagram live, um, I'm really just embracing being present and learning. And can anyone hear me? Can you hear me okay?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, great. So if you can hear me, I want everyone to give me a wave. I want you to give me a thumbs up in the comments. I am so excited. Hey, Jess, Christy, thank you. And so, like I mentioned, today we're going to come into this incredible workshop with Asha with a learner's mindset. I know so many of us spend a lot of time, not only maybe at a desk, but some of us, me, I'm carrying children all the time. I'm dealing with a lot of stress. Others of us, we're pretty active or we play sports or, maybe we're just in a time in our life where things can be kind of tricky. And we really need to focus on what does self-care look like. And so today, I am so pleased that Asha is joining us. She is an incredible holistic facialist in Toronto, and the impact of her work has already been traveling with me ever since I met her only about a month ago because she reminds people that self care is acceptable, it is accessible,
Yeah.
and that it is something that we can do to care for our body and our mind, and something that we can do without putting in a ton of work, effort, money, time, etc. And so, Asha, please introduce yourself. I am so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Me as well. I'm so happy to be here. I think this is such a great collaboration, and I think people need to see beauty and wellness more combined, right? It's not just about the aesthetics, it's literally about how it makes you feel, and just kind of honoring the fact that, like, the bodies that we live in, we need to take care of them, we need to nourish them, and there's obviously a mind body connection. And so, in nourishing our bodies, we're also helping in the, mental sense as well. Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. And, oftentimes, at least for myself, and I've been a therapist for a decade, and I've come to learn that many of us, especially high performers, we tend to think, well, I'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And then what we find is that eventually things tend to catch up to us. And
Yeah.
oftentimes it's kind of like, oh, well, maybe I don't really have to wait till things feel that hard or that bad before I start taking care of myself. And so,
Absolutely.
can you walk us through, what do we need to know about facial reflexology and walk us through, some of those tips and tricks you have from your own professional experience and personal lived experience that can help us to feel confident in adding a little bit of a new self-care routine into our day.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be something that's super extensive. I think oftentimes people get caught up in, like, these routines that say you have to spend 20 minutes or half an hour a day to have results. And you know, the body is really responsive. And so even a little bit of stimulation, a little bit of change can really affect, some results if we're looking for that in an aesthetic sense. But if we're also just looking to ground ourselves and just to be calm, it could just be something you do quickly and on the go. And so I really focus on facial massage primarily. Today, I want to show a little bit of some facial reflexology or acupressure points that are really good for just helping to ground and, sometimes release tension in areas that really communicate with our bodies and tell them just like, calm down, it's okay. Because you need that feedback like both ways. Um, I wanted to show just some simple things that people can do whenever they're in moments of stress, or even just because you need that moment for yourself, and kind of just recognizing that you can do it anywhere, anytime, and you don't have to have a whole lot of expertise. And realistically, you are the expert of your own body, right? You know where you feel tension, you know where you feel stress, and I want people to realize that they also have the tools to kind of support themselves, when they can't see a practitioner. And it should be kind of a balance of both, not just something that you go and seek, but something you can also do for yourself.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And, as a therapist, now CEO of Shift Club, something that I've come to learn is that we tend to imagine that self care feels really big and daunting. And we also can forget that we get to build our own toolkit. What works for me may not work for you. What works for me at certain times of my life may not work for me at other times. And it's all about building strategies. I often say, I take medication for ADHD and I exercise and I want to learn how to do reflexology and I go for massages and I see friends and I work hard to set boundaries in my life so that I take care of me. And I love this idea as we're coming into today that you're teaching us one of the tools that we can hold in our toolkit that, we get to have agency over. So, I don't have to scramble in the evening being like, who am I going to book an appointment with because I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I might actually just get to take a few minutes and really pay attention to what's happening in my body, and I'm really excited to hear about how
Yeah.
I can do that and ways that will feel accessible to me and hopefully everyone here in the room.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is you said and so many times. And I think wellness has become you need to do this and that and that and that. And I think we need to move away from that. If you do maybe
Mhm.
one thing a day that supports, that's
Yes.
okay, because you don't want to get to the point where it's like exhausting just to think
Mhm.
of like, did I take my chlorophyll water? Did I, do gua sha for 20 minutes? Did I like, meditate and do breath work and take my probiotics and my magnesium? And like, I could go on, right?
Right.
And then it becomes exhausting.
Yes, it's like a
So,
full-time job. And, I think that is the accessible piece where it's,
yeah.
let's stop stacking and stacking and stacking and then telling ourselves if we didn't hit it all that we failed. Let's just start saying, a little bit counts and a little bit actually can be a lot if that's the thing that you could do for yourself today.
Absolutely, because it's cumulative. It just kind of adds up over time. I wanted to do and show you guys just a couple things that you could do yourself anywhere. And I was trying to design a routine that I felt like could be done, maybe in an office setting when you're all done up and everything. And you don't necessarily have the time or capacity to fully massage your face, but there are a lot of areas that are places where we hold stress. And so I thought we would kind of focus on that in particular. So without further ado, let's kind of get to it. We are going to start kind of on the shoulders here, the trap muscle. So we tend to hold so much tension here, especially women. And what we're going to start to do is just kind of squeeze. So just like a pretty firm squeeze, whatever you can reach and do on this area. And again, we don't have any oil. We're not, really getting into a full massage. We are kind of doing press and release. So like a good squeeze on the trap. And as far back as you can go comfortably is also good. Probably got a lot of tension there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm realizing, I probably spend a lot of my day holding my breath. And so
Yeah.
even paying attention to my body, it's reminding me to breathe, you know?
And you can kind of move and circle and just sort of see where you're at. If the shoulder joints are kind of a little crunchy when you do this, that can happen too. And so just releasing some tension in the trap, you can kind of bring your shoulder to your ear here. Kind of, if this is you are in a state of tension and you're bringing it up, you might hold that for 20, 30 seconds, and then you kind of drop and release. And the trap, that muscle in particular, it likes to be kind of in a state of tension and then release after. And so, again, just kind of feel where you're feeling tension. The time frame, you can count if you need to, if you want to be
Mhm.
really specific, but sometimes it's just more about feeling, right? And each side might be different. So, we can kind of move on to the second side here. Already, this feels more tense to me than the right side. So again, just kind of squeezing. And yeah, breathing is important.
It's really hard sometimes just to remember to breathe.
Yeah, a lot of people breathe very shallowly too, not through the diaphragm, but just kind of in the chest. And so, like, actually kind of breathing deeper is important as well for many reasons. So, again, just let's bring this shoulder kind of to the ear and really shrug up. And again, in a state of tension here, can kind of let that drop. I'm gonna bring my hands kind of to my chest like this, yeah. And I'm just gonna stretch side to side. So I think first I'm gonna go back, so up, and I'm gonna look at the ceiling. And my hands are for a little added resistance should we need it. And you might kind of turn to the side in that stretch, yeah. But keep looking up at the ceiling and slow movements whenever you're in a deep stretch. Because of course you don't want to like pull anything. We're supposed to relax, not hurt ourselves.
Yes.
So explore areas of tension here, and you might stay a little longer in some of those areas. And this is a platysma stretch, so it's a muscle that kind of goes like this and all the way down. So it could be something that you do is almost like a standalone stretch. That is a very, very like important stretch, but just do a little bit of that. Now you should feel just a little more, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I think
stuff
a lot
going
of
on
us hold
there.
our shoulders like this all day,
Yes,
We're
exactly.
tense.
Sooner
Our
like one of
nervous
those.
system is tense. So even
Yeah,
just bringing it down is so calming.
down and back instead of like this, and also kind of
Mhm.
hunched forward. We want to kind of open the chest and be just like open across the chest too.
Mhm.
Posture is really, really important for the face because otherwise everything's kind of being pulled down.
Right.
Yeah, and that's such a challenging thing in terms of when you're doing facial massage and sculpting and whatnot. But of course, we always want our muscles in like the best possible condition, no matter what our goal is.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Speaking of self-care, even, we're often, when I am in that posture, I'm doom scrolling. And so not only is it,
mhm.
detrimental to my mental health, it's detrimental to my physical body too. That's a good reminder. I'll, you know, stop doom scrolling, focus on
Yes,
posture.
always kind of open. If you insist on looking at a phone, it needs to be here. This puts so much pressure on the back of the neck here. And this is an area in terms of the nervous system where there's a lot of neck tension, just
Okay.
not a good thing. We always want to keep our necks released for the nervous system. And then, of course, in an aesthetic way as well, because we don't want like our faces to kind of be pulled down this way over time. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
um, let's move on. I know you were saying that you have some TMJ symptoms, and this is so common.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Um,
you wake up one morning and you're like, what happened? Did I sleep weird? And then I start to reflect on the previous week and think, well, actually, it's been quite stressful. Life has felt stressful. And, we all know the work of the body keeps the score. And so for me, it tends to show up in my TMJ.
Okay. It's super
Hmm.
common. This is a very primal area in terms of stress. So, when we're really experiencing different things, we tend to clench, right? And it's almost like a
Hmm.
mechanism of control. We want to feel like we have a grip on something. And so you also get that in the shoulders, hips too. But that's what it is. It's that kind of clenching of like holding on. Often people do it when they're sleeping too, because it's the subconscious kind of trying to just understand everything that's going on and work through it. You're not working through anything if you're just clenching, but that's what the body is thinking. So it's a sign that we've got some things we need to work on while we're awake, but of
Fair.
course at night as well. But
So true. So
yeah.
true.
So you'll notice I'm kind of just finding essentially areas of tension here, but this is also kind of like a pressure point. So what I'm going to do is open my mouth and you will have different access. It'll just feel very different. So I'm just going to show you here. So we'd open and then you'll find like pressure points here. This is a good point for releasing the jaw.
Mm,
And when you open your mouth, you have like a different access to the muscles, a little deeper. So,
yeah.
ugh. And so, where our acupressure can come in, I'm gonna grab, I have a couple like makeup brushes here.
Oh,
And you could also use a pen, or of course, there you go.
got
Of the
my
Sharpie is
tools.
great. So I actually can't even find my correct one for acupressure. I don't know where I put that thing, but brushes work. So it's a sign from the universe that we're going to improvise.
Okay.
Essentially, you want something that's a little bit rounded, not that's going to like hurt you or poke into the skin, but
Okay.
it's kind of like imagining that instead of using acupuncture with a needle, we're stimulating the same points, but with just a different tool. So I'm going to just
Ah,
kind of like find an area of tension and just kind of circle into that. And so we're not moving too much on, like, it's not
okay.
this, it's like you
Hmm.
press and then slight movement on the area.
Wow.
And you'll feel where that is. It's usually kind of just a little bit down from the ear here. There's like a line from the lip up to the ear, and usually you're going to find these sort of spots of tension here.
Mm, yeah.
And then you can explore that with your finger as well. Maybe the thumb might feel good. You can anchor your hands here, the rest of your fingers. And don't tense up when you're doing it, which I just did, because sometimes it
Me
hurts,
too.
right? So you're likely to sort of be like, ugh.
Yes.
But try to remember to
Yes.
keep open posture here.
This
Let's
is
see on the other side here. I'm gonna do something just to show you if anyone has a gua sha stone around. Another option here. Can open and again kind of find areas of tension.
okay.
So you got options in terms of tools. It could be a gua sha stone. You could use this is like a little makeup brush here. You can use your fingers. Obviously, if you have an acupressure tool, they're like $10 on Amazon. Um,
Nice.
yeah, pretty accessible things, but just finding that pressure point. I actually really like this.
Yeah. I love the idea of like using what you have. And if, you're someone who, when gua sha stones had popularity, you bought one and then never learned how to use it, I think this is awesome to be like, right, that's what it's for.
Yeah, I mean, gua sha is a really integral part of traditional Chinese medicine, and
Hmm.
it became very trendy. And I feel like
Yes,
we need to honor where it came from.
we
You know,
do.
there's a lot of knowledge, like deeper knowledge into how it works and everything. And I'm glad that it has become a little bit more mainstream.
Mhm.
But we always want to go back to where it came from and try to learn from people, who are, focused in traditional Chinese medicine. Um, Yeah, it's such a cool
Yes.
practice, but that's something
Mhm.
that's, very key for me is like, okay, where did this come from? We didn't invent
Mhm.
it. It wasn't just, it doesn't come from TikTok.
Yes, I love that conversation of that cultural appropriation where it's like, well, this feels trendy. I'm going to buy it because people are
Hmm.
telling me it's going to help me, but I buy it. I don't know the history and I don't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciate that conversation of,
Yeah.
let's also give credit to the practices of self-care that we're honoring so
Hmm.
that, we're not only holding on to trends for trend's sake, but we're acknowledging the wisdom that comes from the people and the cultures and the generations of people that support this tradition. And I love
Absolutely.
that conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
It could be a whole conversation.
Yes, yes. We could have a whole other live about this. One thing I'm curious of
Yeah.
is what do you say to people who, let's say I'm in a corporate environment and I'm at my desk, and I think a lot of us can feel self-conscious of like, well, I'm opening my mouth and I'm like trying to find the pressure points. What do you say to us for, you know, how do we just embrace that confidence of taking care of ourselves in whatever way that might look like?
Yeah, honestly, first of all, people are usually in their own world anyways. They're really not that interested in you for the most part. I realize you can do strange things anywhere and people don't really notice. I mean, it's probably the least of the funny things we might see, on a daily basis in the city. So I feel like first, just, no one's really looking. And if they are, and they're really curious, they'll ask you and you say, well, this is what I'm doing, and maybe they'll join you. Um, you know, I feel like the things that we're going to do in a second too are pretty, okay looking in comparison as to what they could be. um
Amazing.
yeah. So
Amazing.
I think you just kind of, you take that time for yourself. Maybe if there's a little private space and you just need 5 minutes in the office, I guess that's also possible. But I think over time, it'll just become so normal to you that you'll feel comfortable to just do what you got to do. If it hurts and you're kind of like, oh, I got to work into this tension here, and like just
Mhm.
spend some time in the mats that are there. And if you just kind of even hold and just press in like this, ooh, that definitely is intense. But again, and then you release and you're releasing some of that tension after. Um, One of my favorite areas to work on is like right in the center here. So the third eye. This is really, really helpful for relaxation and calming the nervous system. So
Mhm.
honestly, if you have just a couple minutes, maybe this is the area that you work on and that's all you do.
Amazing.
Um, you can do it with your finger, you can do it with a pointer again, you can do it with a gua sha stone, all options. But basically, apply pressure and then just circle. And you might just kind of close your eyes as you do it and breathe through it. This should not really hurt. But if you spend like 30 seconds to a minute just focused on this area, it's going to release stress. And I feel like sometimes when you do get stressed, you might even feel it almost like radiating across the forehead. I do.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like giving your body that feedback just to like calm down. And again, this is like in acupuncture, a really important point for calming the nervous system and relaxing. So we're just stimulating it either through our tools or using like your finger, even whatever you got to do. So a nice spot. And another thing I love to do is actually the back of the neck. So kind of where the skull and almost like where the hairline kind of stops. I don't know
Okay.
what you can see. So
Yeah.
here. So you're gonna take your hands are kind of on your head and your thumbs are just sort of gonna circle and then just massage this area here. Again, super calming because any of the muscles that go down the back, if they're really tense, it's kind of sending signals to the nervous system saying, like, I'm not so happy. And so
Mhm.
we are kind of just pressing in with a little pressure here. This area also tends to get pretty tight because we're like this all the time.
Mhm.
So of course, these muscles hold a lot of tension as a result.
Yes.
You might be surprised how sore some of those areas can be. Yeah.
Wow. I have a feeling a lot of the people in this room are feeling like, I don't know, I just kind of got that Zen feeling after really paying attention to that third eye stress.
Yeah,
And
you'll find it in different ways.
wow. So how often, like, or I guess not even how often, but can you tell me a little bit about how you make this a part of your daily routine? Like, are there certain moments? Is there like a length of time? Like, what does it look like for you in practice?
So I think often people or think that I'm, massaging my face like every single day for an hour or something crazy, or that I have all this time devoted to it. And like, I'm not doing that. I care,
Yeah.
to an extent. Um, but part of wellness for me is also like not doing too much because I already am doing a lot. So I don't need a second job of wellness, right? Because I don't consider that to be well.
Yeah.
um, so I use the time I have. So this morning in the shower, I did a little massage. It's obviously kind of slippery, the facial cleanser. So I take my knuckles and I literally just like knuckle my forehead, like pressing in with some actual pressure here across the whole forehead. That's going to release muscle tension. You can literally do that all over your face. So your knuckles fit nicely into all these little grooves and areas. And as you do it, you'll be like, oh, and it's more of it's still pressure point work. It's not so
Mhm.
much movement or sweeping. It's like, except maybe on the forehead, but
Okay.
it's like releasing tension. And of course, it's very slippery, right? So you want to do this when you have something slippery on the face. So
Okay.
I did that whole sort of knuckle situation in the shower, maybe a minute. And then
Okay.
when I came out, I had moisturizer on. It doesn't stay slippery for very long. So I kind of use that to just do little circles everywhere, which is like good circulation. I did a little bit of this kind of motion for lymphatic drainage with the neck. Actually, neck stuff, when you just do this to yourself, oh, it's like so nice. It's probably one of the most calming things you can do. And I feel like it's the thing that feels almost like somebody else was doing it,
Yeah. That's
you know?
so nice.
So just starting
Especially,
to like move some
yes.
lymph. Yeah.
Yeah, so many of us, myself included, I feel so often out of my body and in here. And even just like, being mindful of what my body is feeling right now is so important for shifting my mood and shifting,
Yeah.
where I'm holding that tension. I love that idea in the shower. I've been starting a new skincare routine and, while I wait for serum to dry, which for this ADHDer feels like forever, oftentimes I'm just waiting. And so now I'm going to be practicing tonight. Like 1 minute of even just that like pressure point
Yeah.
massage and, being mindful of, not just trying to rush it, but be present in it, which is awesome. So I have followed you on Instagram, and oftentimes when I'm watching your videos, you'll find me trying to do them because they are amazing. I'm like, I had no idea. So can you tell everyone where do we find you? For those of us in Toronto, how do we book an appointment with you? And share more about where we get access to you because you
Yeah.
are brilliant.
Thank you. So I have a business called the Beauty Collective, and so we are like a storefront in Dundas West, and we have a studio space, and we have holistic skincare and some acupuncture as well. So wellness through skincare. And then if you don't happen to live in Toronto, I do have online courses. I do so much content online that is just designed for people to just be able to learn things and kind of create their own routine. And then I have some facial massage and facial taping, little programs that people can purchase as well. And if you want to see me in real life this weekend, For
Yes.
for Mother's Day, we are having a free community event. So from 12 to 3, and we're in Dundas West, 1493 Dundas West, and everyone is welcome to come. We've got some cool sponsors, and we'll be doing some face mapping. And then we have Noosa Holistic, which is a local Toronto brand. And so the founders are coming to kind of show us some like skincare and gua sha techniques. So if you don't have plans with your mom, or you do on Sunday but not on Saturday, and you want to seem like a good kid, please come through.
I love that idea. I love it. And I'm really excited. I am totally going to book a facial and come get that self-care that I need. And I know probably a lot of us after this last half hour are now entering our day feeling more grounded, more relaxed, and more cared for. And so
Yeah.
thank you so
Oh,
much. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to keep up this practice. And I
yeah.
look forward to hearing how it goes for everyone else. Never hesitate, comment below and share because I think this accessible self care is so important. And I really appreciate you and the work that you do.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is amazing to talk and kind of teach, and I'm very relaxed now too. I'm kind of like, yeah.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Have a great
yeah.
day, everyone.
All right, and
Uh, Thank you. Okay,
take care.
bye.